Happy Friday, ambitious readers. Welcome back to another edition of Reading Ambitiously. We missed you last week. I heard from many of our readers that you missed Reading Ambitiously too. And one of our readers wrote in and said, Jack, I love every time that you actually show us some of the AI tools that you're talking to us about every single week. So that's what we're going to do this week in a very audacious version of Reading Ambitiously. This week's big idea is called Always On Intelligence. Let's jump right in. If you're a knowledge worker, our jobs carry a hidden tax. We'll read something on a Tuesday, and by Thursday, we will need the insight from what we read. We'll see that it connects to a conversation we're having or a decision that we're making or a pattern that we're seeing. We know we've saved it. Maybe we've even highlighted it. Maybe we've even sent it to ourselves. But when we need it, we cannot find it. Most knowledge workers do not suffer from a lack of information. We suffer from a lack of usable memory. The article, it sits in a bookmark in Google Chrome. The notes that we took about the article, they sit in our notebook or in our favorite note-keeping tool. And the meeting transcript that we had about the topic lives in a folder that we have to use single sign-on to get into and completely forgot about. The insight that we gained in that article is very real. We earned it, but it is scattered across Chrome tabs and tools and our own imperfect recall. Now, there is a whole category of software and productivity tools that are meant to try and solve for this. Note-taking applications, read it later tools, systems for what some of us in the last couple of years started calling the second brain, which was an effort to try and digitize all of this knowledge to capture, curate, and ultimately automate the recall in real time of this knowledge. And I bought into that vision in a really big way. I own all these tools. And here's what I can tell you. For me, at least, most of them turned all of this organization of knowledge not into a second brain, but into a second job. And the reason is that every time you get a new piece of knowledge, you have to save it. You have to name it. You have to tag it. You have to link it. You have to revisit it. You have to clean it up before the structure gets messy. You have to assign a 30-minute meeting in the morning to get ready to go for the day and a 30-minute meeting in the evening to organize and debrief on the day that just was. The tools that were supposed to reduce our cognitive load started competing for our cognitive load. And that is why the effort to curate all this knowledge ultimately stalls, because the upkeep is brutal. And knowledge workers have known this for a very long time, going all the way back to 1945, when Vannevar Bush wrote this article in The Atlantic titled, As We May Think. Now, Mr. Bush was a really smart person. He actually had led research and development for the Office of Science and Development of the U.S. military for the war. And what he wanted to commit his life to after the war was trying to organize all of his knowledge. And he envisioned something that he called the Memex, which was a personal device that essentially could store a lifetime of records and let the user move through them via association, not hierarchy. And that's an important point, because I think he understood something that feels ever more true today. The mind does not think in folders. It moves through trails, through associations. Bush could imagine a personal library in the Memex, but he could not staff it. Who updates all of those associations and those links? Who keeps track of all of this information? Who creates the metaphorical Dewey Decimal System that you apply to organize all of this knowledge, and who maintains it? Well, for 8 decades, the answer to that question was us. And honestly, there is nothing better than the human brain at organizing all of those associations until now. And building the AmbitiousOS has enlightened to me as to where we are likely going with this concept of always on intelligence. Now, the AmbitiousOS, with the help of Claude Code, is built on the entire Reading Ambitiously archive. It's 2+ years worth of research, worth of data, worth of articles, worth of editorial work, worth my primary research, my notes. And right now, more than 50 of our subscribers are using the AmbitiousOS to complement their Reading Ambitiously subscription and to have conversations with the AmbitiousOS through voice and through text. And at first, I thought I was building essentially a smarter interface to our body of work, because in version 1, you can search that body of work. You come in here and say, I want to learn more about NVIDIA. You can even have a dialogue and a conversation with that body of work and come to conclusions and essentially treat the AmbitiousOS as an extension of your personal team. But version 2 is starting to change my mind on where this thing could go. Now, I want to show you a prototype of what that looks like. This is the knowledge graph that is underneath the Ambitious OS. And essentially, what this is a knowledge graph that is fed by all of the current sources in the Ambitious OS, which is our newsletters, the articles, the charts, the tweets, the references. These are the immutable ground truths. But what we're doing now is we're using AI that is always on to curate and update a wiki or a knowledge base that is constantly and automatically updating the association between all of these entities. There are now 541 entities in that knowledge base, and there are 4,108 associations or trails, as Mr. Bush would say, between them. And every time a new source enters the wiki, the AI always on assistant or our librarian applies our system to organize that knowledge and to perform the most challenging part of one of these projects, the maintenance and the curation. Pretty amazing. And I want to give you a demonstration of what that could possibly look like. Right now, the knowledge base has persons, has concepts, has companies. These are entities. You can see here the associations and how all of these things are linked. Look at how many associations there are between these different concepts. And you can kind of move these things around and understand how all of this knowledge fits together. But I want to give you a demonstration of what the always-on executive assistant is capable of doing by taking a look at one of these entities, the Jevons paradox. Here's everything we already know about the Jevons paradox, including the connections of where we've talked about it, the timelines, the open questions, the additions or sources that it has been a part of previously. But if I come over here to Claude Code and I say, run the librarian on the Jevons paradox, what we'll see here is our always-on executive assistant is going to come in. It's going to gather all of the working knowledge about this concept. It's going to understand everything we're reading, all the meetings we've had, all the notes we've had, all the documents and decisions that relate to the Jevons paradox, the threads, the conversations, the emails, the Slacks, pretty much anything that is in that ground truth source corpus. And it's going to bring it all together and it's going to build out a more complete understanding of this single entity in our knowledge base. It's almost as if we've hired an always-on librarian to just keep building out our own personal library of Alexandria. And here is what that looks like now, with a lot more detail behind the knowledge base. And as this wiki expands, guess what? The AI that taps into it also expands its knowledge base. It's pretty darn amazing. Now, imagine waking up to a system that is already doing all of this processing for you. It's ingesting all the articles you've read. It's overnight looking at these articles and understanding the entities that are a part of them, the companies you track, the themes that you've been writing about, the decisions that you've been making. It notices proactively that there are conflicts and it alerts you about those conflicts. It flags these issues before your next meeting. It is connecting these concepts in recent emails that you sent last week. This is not a chatbot that you are asking questions. This is a system that is maintained by an army of AI agents and then is proactively alerting you to how to use your knowledge as an asset. This is an always-on future of the Ambitious OS. And I want to just show you what that always-on future will look like as we build towards it. A system that is ingesting everything with this wiki and knowledge base that is maintained by AI, that is doing all the maintenance about those pieces of knowledge, and then giving you the ability to stay current, to surface connections, to flag conflicts, to proactively be ready to tap into your knowledge when you ask for it, because the system is doing the maintenance. Now, I think this could be an absolutely killer product for AI. And if we've been through a couple of eras now, the ChatGPT era, the Claude Code era, and this amazing use case around agentic coding, this could be a third era. Always on intelligence or personal operating systems or AI executive assistants. And you may have heard now about this open source project called OpenClaw, which plays a really big role in this future vision, because OpenClaw essentially is a harness that allows you to give the AI access to an operating system so it can start to act proactively for you in this way. Now, Anthropic is building a closed source version of this that they call Claude Cowork, and they describe it very similarly: a system for autonomous knowledge work that runs on the desktop across, you guessed it, your local files and your applications. And its job is to deliver to you finished outcomes, not one time prompts. These are two versions of the exact same idea that I really think could be the iPhone caliber product of the AI era. And make no mistake, the models still matter, but the product value is moving into these harnesses, these products that actually allow you to use the AI like an always on intelligent assistant. And that may be the missing layer in knowledge work. That may be the solution to the problem that we started this edition with, the article that you read on a Tuesday. We've built good tools for gathering this information. We've built some decent tools for retrieving it, but we've never built a system that keeps the knowledge layer current on its own. And over time, your accumulated knowledge will start to feel more like an asset. Bush imagined this thing in 1945. The missing piece was the ability to upkeep and maintain it, but that seems to have been solved now with AI. And when I started building the AmbitiousOS, I thought we were building a smarter interface to a newsletter archive. But now I'm coming away with a stronger conviction that this is where the market's headed. Now, we don't need more information, but my gosh, are we going to have more information at our fingertips? But soon, we are going to have always on intelligent systems that remember what we know, that get to work before we ask. And that is going to be an absolutely killer product that AI ushers in. I can't wait. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, ambitious readers. It's my pleasure to be back with you. I missed you all last week. I look forward to being with you again soon. Please do take care of each other.